Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.
Good day, ladies and gents. I'm Emilio A. Colon.
And I am Marcus Mack, and this is the EAC Show coming to you from sunny South Florida with episode 93. Emilio, talk about it.
What's going on, Marcus? My apologies for the last episode. We didn't get a chance to record it because, unfortunately, little EJ was sick, and I had to, play daddy duties. You know what I'm saying? But this is basically our show to recap Marcus's adventure at Deanie's Lounge, where he saw the Florida State Seminoles take on the Miami Hurricanes.
The Florida Seminoles get waxed by the Hurricanes.
He also watched Israel Adesanya versus Costa. That fight, the UFC fight, and Adesanya waxed him.
Costa got demolished horribly.
We're going to talk a little bit about football games that happened over this Sunday, preview a little bit of the stuff that's coming this weekend as well. And we'll talk about Doc Rivers getting fired, and we'll discuss what's going on right now in the NBA. The NBA Finals, we've got the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers. The Heat are up by 13 right now in the first quarter. Marcus, we also have to discuss Commissioner Manfred and Rob Manfred pulling off this COVID-19 MLB playoffs. There was a bunch of games yesterday, 8 games today. So MLB is going along as well. I know Rob Manfred is your best friend, Marcus Mack, because you admire his business acumen.
Uncle Rob, corporate thug. Uncle Rob, the corporate thug.
So why don't we start off? Tell us about your experience at Deanie's Lounge. Shout out to Deanie's Lounge. I know the food was good as well. The environment was enjoyable. I saw everything on social media. But tell us a little bit about what was going on at Deanie's Lounge. How many people were there rooting for the Hurricanes? How many people were there rooting for the
I ain't gonna lie. It was really like it was a gang assault. It was horrible. It was maybe like about 4 people there that was for the Florida Seminoles. And they kept their energy. They kept the energy. I don't know how, but they kept the energy. But they took the loss on the chin, all 4 of them. And then the rest of the house was all Miami Hurricanes. You just seen orange and green just walking through the door. Orange and green walking through the door. But
for Florida State, their coach has COVID. They're just not that good right now. They're gonna have to do so much recruiting to get Florida State back to where they used to be, Marcus Mack. But I know that it must have been crazy with all the Hurricane fans just rubbing it in at those 4 Florida State fans.
Yeah, it was bad because they was winning the entire game. I believe at one point they was up. It was like 24-3. Crazy, outrageous number. But yeah, man, they did their thing, man. Like offensively, defensively. I think Florida State was just really lacking. I can't even say that because Miami played an outstanding game, but Florida State was just lacking defensively, offensively, all that.
Yeah, and then obviously we saw that you ended up watching Israel Adesanya beat the dog snot out of Costa. It wasn't even really a fight. I mean, Israel Adesanya he was really doing breakdancing moves while Costa was still laying on the mat. Like
Chris Brown. Him and Chris Brown was in the back. It was in the back in the locker room getting the whole situation situated. Like, listen, after you do a dance like that on the intro, you better win. And when I'm telling you, listen, he took his legs. Adesanya took Costa's legs right from up under him. I'm talking about 2 rounds of straight kicks. 2 rounds of crick. I don't even think Costa got a punch off.
I have a question for you. You think Israel Adesanya has a choreographer that they practice?
He got to. I told you he got Chris Brown in the back. He had Chris Brown in the back. He had to. No way in the world he came out. Then he had his backup dancers. Like he came out Beyonce. Backup dancers, hair blowing in the wind. It was crazy. Then afterwards, the trash talk was just crazy. Like, oh man, like he's definitely the GOAT.
I saw a little bit about it. You sent it to me, Marcus. I previewed it a little bit. I was a little bit busy today, but I previewed it. I saw that there was some people out there complaining about Adesanya's pec muscle, and they think that it has to do with either steroids or some type of growth hormone or whatever it may be. These people really just can't understand how somebody as kind of like, I don't want to say small because he's big compared to me, but small in the realm of MMA size, physique-wise, is beating the dog shit out of some of these fighters.
Yeah, I mean, it's pure technique, man. Pure technique. I mean, if you've seen Costa's leg, you had to see his leg. It looked like he had bruises tattooed on his leg. It was horrible. I'm talking about kicks the whole 2 rounds. Just for the record, I want y'all, for those that didn't get a chance to see it, it was 2 rounds of kicks. I mean, 2 rounds of kicks.
It's like when your mom's is whipping your ass and she just keep hitting the same spot and you kind of just
like how do you manage to find this same place? Ma, chill, you got it. You got it, dude. Word, man. Absolutely. But he definitely fought a great fight. I think it was more strategic than anything, which that's what I admire more, especially from an MMA fight. In UFC fight, when you see them types of fights and it's not just plain brute force and you see them using strategy and the strategy is plain to see, like, it's like, wow, he came in, he already knew what he was going to do. And he said afterwards, he said, man, listen, you could be all the gladiator size all you want. This ain't Mr. Olympia, man. Like, I'm skinny. Yeah, I'm skinny. He's big. This is how Adesanya talking. I'm skinny. He's a little bigger, but I don't got nothing to do with it, man. And when I say he was chopping his legs down, he was chopping his legs down for real.
Yeah, so shout out to Dana White. We know we're big Dana White followers here on the show. We love Dana. He's an entrepreneur. He puts his stuff together, gets this stuff going over here in Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. So Adesanya ends up defending his title. Have no idea.
He did the same thing to Romero for real. He did the same thing.
Have no idea who he's going to end up fighting next, but we'll see how it goes. Marcus, we had a fun-fledged Sunday full of football. I didn't bring my crown, but out of Cameron and myself and you, I won this week. I'm the winner, hands down. Let's not get it twisted. I won, just for the record.
Got it.
So
and just for the record, it was because y'all made me pick the spreads and all that too. So there was some red tape to get through.
Uniform color this week.
Yeah, what was the score anyway?
We had some really good games. We had the game that was really, really good, which was the Dallas Cowboys versus the Seattle Seahawks, Marcus Mack. And literally Seattle ended up covering that game, but Dallas had multiple opportunities and really had no business losing that game whatsoever, Marcus. Russell Wilson threw another 5 touchdowns. This guy is just killing it. I mean, I don't know. I maybe him changing Sierra's life and just being positive or whatever it may be just works really, really well for him because this guy, I think he has more touchdowns than he has incompletions the whole year, Marcus. It's crazy.
It's something in the water in that house.
Her goodies.
Her goodies.
Her goodies.
Yeah,
Cam Newton beating up on the Las Vegas Raiders like a bully. Like literally, I think they won by like double digits if I'm not mistaken. Las Vegas came down to earth. I'm trying to remember some of the games off the top of my head. Oh, the Cleveland Browns ended up covering. That was crazy. I didn't expect that over the Washington football team. Carolina. This is the game that separated me from you and Cam. Carolina Panthers on the road ended up beating the LA Chargers.
Yeah. I picked LA on that one too. No. Yeah. How much did they win by? How much did Carolina win by?
I forgot, but they won the game and they were underdogs, so the spread was the opposite way in that game. Right. But we have to talk about this one more time, Marcus. We have to speak on this. The Atlanta Falcons end up blowing a game to the Chicago Bears that they had no business blowing because they had a double-digit lead again. Marcus, I don't know how this coach still has a job.
I don't know. They're going to fire Doc Rivers. I don't know why they don't fire him, too. They need to get him up out of here. Bro,
Marcus,
man.
The people of Atlanta, let me explain to Atlanta Falcons fans, if they haven't suffered for something from COVID, they are going to get strokes, aneurysms, something, or actuality watching the Falcons. Because the Falcons are like, look, you were having a stress. You were going through stress watching the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Out watching the Dolphins.
And Dolphins fans are resilient. I'm guessing Dolphins and Atlanta Falcons fans must have a level of resiliency that's through the roof because I don't know how they stay faithful for this long.
I would love to watch a live stream of an actual hardcore Atlanta Falcons fan watching the highest of highs during the start of the game into the middle and just go down to the lowest of lows as the end. I can't believe this shit is happening again.
Right.
And literally, it has to be just so brutal.
Pure anxiety.
Without question.
Looking at an Atlanta Falcons game is like having a bad day in court. For real.
Absolutely.
It's horrible.
Tampa Tom and them boys, the Gronkaneers, they ended up winning easily. Marcus Mack. I think Tampa Bay's starting to get their shit together, honestly. I'm trying to think off the top of the head some more games that there were. I know there were plenty. My shitty-ass Jets didn't do nothing. Garbage-ass Giants got blown out.
Sorry.
Oh, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions. Shout out to the Detroit Lions. Matt Patricia, the boys in the D, they ended up getting that victory over the Arizona Cardinals. That was another game that you and I picked and Cam got wrong. So that helped us out. And then I think we ended up splitting the rest of those. Now, look, this is something I do have to discuss on this show. And this is kind of difficult for me because I said I was going to go with the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football. When Monday Night Football came, I didn't take the Baltimore Ravens.
You didn't take them?
I took the Kansas City Chiefs. So sometimes, depending on how the weekend ends up going, like dictates what I end up taking Monday night because
it was just a feel, right?
Right. Because watching everything that went on throughout the whole day and all the picks that we made, I'm like, And then I look at the Green Bay game, which was the Sunday night game. I look at the Green Bay game, and we all took Green Bay. You and I took Green Bay. I don't even know how Cameron,
me either.
Reason,
when he said he wasn't taking Green Bay, I'm like.
And he's a Green Bay Packers fan, so he took the Saints. So when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with what I feel right now and not what I said early in the week. So I ended up taking Kansas City, and that ended up being the difference. Listen to me. That Dallas game was good. That Kansas City game was good. That Green Bay game was good. The Detroit Lions versus the Arizona Cardinals was good. There was a lot of good football being played this week. I can't wait till week 4, Marcus Mack. Now, one week 4 pick that we're not going to be able to make is the Tennessee Titans versus the Pittsburgh Steelers because that game has been postponed because of COVID-19 cases. Marcus, you, myself, and Cameron have discussed this. I really do feel like the NFL has been doing a good job with the COVID-19, but I knew this was going to happen because it was pure bullshit for you guys to make us believe that these guys are sitting here tackling each other for 60 minutes or whatever it may be of football, and no one is contracting COVID-19.
Yeah, especially considering, like, you know, I'm not saying all leagues should be in a bubble, but you ensure no virus at all when under those circumstances in a bubble. But, you know, when you're dealing with a circumstance where it's spreading, and in some states it's spreading even faster than other states, you know, there's no telling what could happen, man, because they're under the same circumstances as any other civilian out there. So I'm not surprised at all. I just I hope they figure it out and get everything together.
I was watching, shout out to Pat McAfee and the boys, big fan of the show. I was watching Pat McAfee and the boys, and this lady called in from Wisconsin, and she works in the HR department, and she was basically trying to describe what contact tracing is. And you almost needed a degree to fucking learn that shit, because it was like, oh, if you've been around this person with or without a mask for longer than 15 minutes, then it's possible that you could contract it. But if you're asymptomatic and you don't have no symptoms and you test negative, that means you're not a spreader or whatever. I was getting confused. She was trying to break it down as simple as possible, but I was getting confused trying to memorize the shit she was saying. It's
all making less and less sense to me, but, you know, that's neither here nor there.
I mean, shit. None of it makes sense, honestly, to be honest with you. I mean, some people, you can't really fault them for that. If you're asymptomatic and you're walking around with it, you don't know. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, you just walking around with the cooties, just yeah. And yeah, I think that's the part of it, really. Like, when you haven't caught it, you don't have symptoms, nothing's going on, so you feel like it's okay for you to walk around with no mask on. But then it's like, that's the case where you should wear a mask, because the mask isn't to keep you from catching it, it's to keep you from spreading it. So, you know, I suggest everyone, no matter what your position on it is, as far as you know, the numbers and if the government this and whatever your conspiracy theory may be, trust me, I feel you and I don't understand it either. But go out there and go get tested, man, because it's crazy out here right now.
So I'm gonna give a little bit of shout out to Rob Manfred and the MLB for putting on a really good first day of playoffs. No problems, no issues, no hiccups. A lot of games that went on day one. I think day one so far, we're updating this, but day one so far, the Tampa Bay Rays moved on. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays. They're going on to the American League Division Series. The Houston Astros, the cheaters, the guys who like to cheat and bang on trash cans.
Oh, Rondo, man.
they ended up beating up on the Minnesota Twins, who was in first place the whole time pretty much. They're moving on to the American League Division Series. The Yankees are up one game on the Cleveland Indians, but they're down right now as we speak. I'm trying to think what else. I think I'm forgetting something if I'm not mistaken. Oh, the Chicago White Sox and the Oakland Athletics are 1-1. Then you got the National League where you got the Atlanta Braves up 1-0. The Marlins are up 1-0 on the Cubs. 1-0 on the Cubs. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I'm doing all this off the top of my head, Marcus Max, so forgive me. I'm trying to think who else was playing. Damn. But anyway, the two days of baseball has been really, really good, Marcus. And it's just enjoyable to watch. Trevor Bauer did his thing, striking out 1 billion people earlier today, but didn't end up winning the game. The Atlanta Braves ended up winning that game. Do you think, Marcus, and this is the first time because of the whole COVID situation, they have 8 teams in the playoffs for Major League Baseball? So that's 16 teams in total, 8 on one side, 8 on the other. Do you feel like they should stay with that format because it's kind of like a March Madness NCAA bracket format, or you think they should go back to their old ways?
Who's asking? Like, who am I answering the question for? Because I could give it to you from
It's just your opinion.
But no, hear me out. I could give you from a business standpoint, like how I feel about it, like that, or I could give it to you from a fan standpoint.
Do both. Like literally.
Well, I feel like from a business standpoint, of course, there should be more games. I don't think they should keep that format. Keep more games because more content, more money being generated. You know what I'm saying? From a fan standpoint, I think the same thing. Bring on the games, even for the players, because they get paid like that. Bring on the games, man. Let's keep it. Do you feel like
that 162 games in a regular season? Then do you feel like that's diluted when you have 8 teams on each side making it? Because we're talking about if you have 8 teams on each side making, you're gonna get some really low-level teams making the playoffs.
Oh, so normally in a baseball playoffs, it's less teams.
Yes.
Right. No, because it gives more teams an opportunity. Is there less games per group?
For the first round, yes. But the thing is Marcus, I think, like you said earlier, I think it's better to do it with more teams because you reach more of an audience. You reach different cities that you wouldn't be reaching. Like, sometimes certain cities are not tuning in to the playoffs because their teams are not in the playoffs. They literally shut down. They don't want to watch, the Cincinnati Reds versus the Atlanta Braves because they are from Texas. So why are they going to watch those two teams? But if you have a team from Texas in the playoffs that wouldn't have made the playoffs, now all of a sudden you're going to tune in because you might watch who you might end up playing next or whatever it may be. So I think the more teams is better for the league. It's better for the exposure, better for the content. And then the first thing that matters the most, it's better for making money for Major League Baseball.
Definitely, for sure. And then, influence is key, man. And when you could hold influence for long periods of time, you hold the power and you're more inclined to make a higher markup. So, when you got all of these teams, like it's more teams in the playoffs, you got more teams in the playoffs, it enhances the fan reaction. It enhances how does it feel like, when the home team is winning and you still want to be in it? You understand what I'm saying? It enhances that feel. So I think it's that whole experience. Yeah. So I definitely agree. This year was just a little bump in the road because of COVID. But if you keep that same system, I think that'd be dope with more games, but the same playoff system.
So now we're going to switch it over a little bit, Marcus Mack. We're going to get back into basketball. You and I were discussing this earlier on the pre-show. We were talking about the firing or the agreement to mutually part ways of the Clippers and Doc Rivers. That's just a nice way of saying, listen, get your ass out the door. So,
That's a nice way of saying, man, somebody fucked up and you're going to have to take the fall.
Exactly. So Doc Rivers, and I said this as soon as they lost to the Denver Nuggets, Doc Rivers should have been fired immediately right after the game. Steve Ballmer was nice enough not to do that, and they ended up agreeing to mutually part ways. Now, Marcus, you discussed this on the pre-show. You felt like there's a possibility that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George probably went to ownership and said, hey, look, this isn't working. We need to bring in somebody else. I'm here to tell you that that's 100% plausible because when you have that type of star power on your team, there's no way that you should lose a 3-1 lead to anybody. If you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, you have no business losing a 3-1 lead to anybody. I don't care even if LeBron James is down 3-1. You can't lose. That means the other team has to win 3 games, and you have to win 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just like when LA had they was up 3-1 to Denver. I don't think anybody thought. Now, of course, everybody knows that I was really rooting for Denver, but no one in their right mind expected for LeBron to mess this up. No way in the world. That would have been the biggest hiccup in the world. There's no reason why you should lose when you're up 3-1. And, of course, I feel like I don't feel like he went to ownership. I feel like there was a conversation that came up and he said something. Yeah. He said something that was more in his own favor. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't just get rid of a player that you're paying $103 million. You understand what I'm saying? That's maybe roughly about $34 million a year. Because I believe it was a $3 million contract, $100 million 3-year contract. And you don't just fire or trade this player, especially somebody like Kawhi Leonard. You know what I'm saying? And Paul George, these are great players. So now the question is there a lack of leadership? What is the issue? What is the issue here? And I think Doc Rivers is a great coach, but something went wrong.
So the thing that went wrong, in my opinion, is just the lack of they got complacent. They got comfortable. Actually, they didn't have that hunger anymore in them. And I think that's why they ended up losing that series, Marcus. And when it boils down to it, you can have the turnover from when Doc Rivers first got there. It was Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, Chris Paul, and a couple other players on J.J. Redick and somebody else on the Clippers. And then all of a sudden it gets transformed, and you have Harrell, you have Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Patrick Beverley, and somebody else. I forget who the last person is that starts on that team. You have that many players of a changeover, and you bring in so much more talent than what you used to have. And now all of a sudden you're still ending up losing in the playoffs. You're not even sniffing a championship. There's no way that I can go from these bag of groceries to these bag of groceries with the filet mignon, the wine, the champagne, and all that, and you still can't get it done. Change had to be made. It had to be done. He had to get axed. Steve Ballmer was nice enough not to say I fired him, just to say that we agreed to mutually part ways, which is another way of just saying, yo, don't let the door kick your ass on the way out. That's it.
Yeah. I definitely believe. I don't know exactly what transpired. I would have to, wait it out a little bit and do a little bit of research. But I honestly feel like something had to been said. And I don't think it was he went to say something. I think somebody asked a question, because just like when we was talking about it, you said, when you got these billionaires putting up all this money for you as a head coach, and we want you to win. And if you don't win, let it be reasonable. But that loss that they took, that L, was unreasonable.
Somebody had to get fired, Rob.
Somebody had to get fired.
So this is going to conclude episode. This is 93?
Yes, 93, sir.
93. So real quick, before I let you go, tell me who's going to win this game with the spread. You got the Lakers -5 or the Heat +5?
I like the Lakers.
I'm going to go with the Heat +5, Marcus Mack. That's going to conclude episode 93 of the EAC Show. Make sure you click like, subscribe on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. F Friday, we're going to do our week preview for all our NFL picks. I'm going to win again while these guys are a bunch of losers. Cameron will be on the show with us. So, Marcus, I appreciate you. Make sure you guys click like, subscribe on all podcast platforms, and we'll see you episode 94.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.